All sins for mankind. Science for mankind.
Let's go.
Welcome to the UnFuckIt discussion, everyone. Come on out. Join me as I pull my hair and go, what fucking planet am I on? I want to say hi to Twitch, everyone out there in Twitch land. Hi there, guys. And anyone who's viewing us, who's coming in from PocketNet. Hello, you Pocketers. It's good to see you guys over here, too. I'm going to open the chat again. I have the Twitch chat open. I've just lost it again, unfortunately. So, yeah. Anyone want to make a comment on my epic insanity and what we've just run through? Because
Yeah, this is the part about Trump I cannot fucking stand. You know, and everybody I'm not saying he hasn't done good things, but the whole reason he got in and who backed him, this is what it's all about. And anybody with eyes to see better stand up, because you know, like I made some posts about, I mean, I look at this as just theft, you know, and you know, them thinking they're better than everyone else. And I'm really sick and tired of people thinking they're better than the rest of us, or they get special treatment, or it's okay to go murder people because, you know, all of us in the U.S. have to support Israel. Well, Israel can suck my balls, okay? I'm sick of them. I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm sick of them murdering people. I'm sick of all of it. So I'm going to be bitching about Trump now, and I'm sure a lot of my friends are going to get pissed off, but I don't give a shit. This is what I'm talking about.
Proof is in the fucking pudding, right?
Yeah.
This is it. And we can sit there and you say, oh, look, he brought North and South Korea together. Okay.
Bullshit.
Maybe.
Bullshit. There was a reason.
They were already together. They've like that negotiation had been going in way before he got into politics, okay?
And
You say all these things, but you have to look at what he is doing right now. Venezuela?
That's bullshit. Yeah. And Russia has every right to go in there and to get fucking mad at us. And you know, again, we act like we're better than everybody. We're not. The U.S. is not better than everybody on this planet. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, Russia's got their shit together. It wouldn't, you know, I mean, I hate to say this, but I wouldn't, if he bitch slapped Trump, I'd be happy.
Listen, you know what? None of these rulers have got all their shit together, and I do not think that fucking Putin is together, you know,
Well,
or
at least he has the balls to stand up. At least he has the balls.
At least here's my thing. At least he's looking after the countries that he works with. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I have a trade agreement with this country, and you know what? I'm going to uphold my trade agreement with this country, whether it's Iran, whether it's Syria, whether it's China, whether it's Venezuela. They have an agreement. Where's all of Venezuela's other supporters? Well, they're all fucking hiding behind a fucking rock because the U.S. is threatening to go in there and take all their assets. Are we shocked? No, I'm not shocked. Like I said, I've been talking about this since 2014. I've been talking about watch for Venezuela. Venezuela's going to fucking happen. The U.S. is going after them.
He must have made a deal. He must have made a deal somewhere along the way. He's you know, Cheney, the fucking ass. That guy should be dead. He'd be hung from the gallows.
No,
You know,
come on, Dawn. We're just LARPing here, Dawn. We're just LARPing.
This guy's a fucking, he rapes children. This guy's bad. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Just a piece of work.
They don't call him Dick for nothing. Okay, so what I'm saying is, this is exactly what I talk about. You have to be willing to call out the bullshit on all sides of the fence, not be in a certain camp, because you start to see real quickly where people are going. They'll gain your trust and then fuck you. Now, all the people in the U.S. are going to blindly follow him because he's Donald Trump.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, my
Uh,
darling.
in case you don't know what you think you do, that's Dawn at about half throttle.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've
I'm
seen
tired
one
of
at full throttle.
I'm tired of sellouts, man. And I don't give a fuck what team you're on, what color you're on. I don't care.
Nope. Exactly. It's just another example of what we've been trying to say all along. Right, left, doesn't matter. It's all the fucking same. And I mean, I wish the Canadians could get this to your head. I see so many Canadians who are pushing this. Oh, the Liberals are terrible because of Donald Trump. Ha ha ha. Trudeau, Justin Trudeau. Oh, they're terrible. They got to get him out. Blah 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 blah. And then they go and they're like supporting the progressive conservatives, and I'm like, hello, Stephen Harper much? Do you have that? Are you that like short of memory? You can't remember what Harper did to the fucking country? They're all the same. You pull out one puppet,
Yeah,
pull out Trudeau,
yeah.
throw him in the garbage. They're just going to put another fucking puppet in. And he's going to do the exact same shit.
They're all in bed together, for sure.
Exactly.
Yep,
And we got to remember, the world is a stage. It's their stage.
Yes, baby. It is definitely a fucking stage. Yeah, exactly, Andrea. They're totally disposable and replaceable. And that's, if it wasn't Justin Trudeau, it would have been whatever else, and the same, whoever had gotten in instead of him would be doing the exact same shit. And this is what I'm joking about, the fact of, like, with Brexit. Theresa May saying, well, I'll leave. Of course you're going to leave after Brexit. You were only put in power to do that one thing. And then the Queen will put another fucking puppet. And everyone will go, yay, Theresa May is gone. Just like they did with David Cameron. Yay, Cameron's gone. And then they got Theresa May, who was assigned to them. And the Queen will just assign them someone else. And it'll be the exact same person. It's just a different face and a different name.
Danny?
No, I'm surprised by how they can just like kill the investigation in both the investigation and the general for the ethics,
Yeah.
Like, wow, like.
Oh, I didn't even get into the Mueller report.
Like,
I was not even going to touch the Mueller report.
Like, to me, like, I'm surprised that the CRMP hasn't gone in and been like, whoa, there's something wrong here. We need to freaking look into this. Like, because it's just illegal and I somehow never thought I would ever see Canada, like, in my life. Like,
no. Canada's been doing this the whole time, honey. Canada is seriously corrupt. They've been part of so much of this bullshit for decades. Decades. Most Canadians, unfortunately, live under this fairy tale notion that Canada is like, you know, nice people and our government is nice and we would never do these terrible things. But like, go look into some of the shit that Canada's been part of. Look into this stuff. It's unbelievable. And it doesn't matter what party is in power. Every one of them, they all do the same fucking bullshit.
You know, really, these fuckers, sorry, they're going to continue to do the same shit as long as we allow it. And if we should be mad at anybody, it should be the fucking people, because they're asleep and they've had every opportunity to wake up. You know, everything is in our face, but they can't see it, or they ignore it, or they just don't want to be bothered. And you know, there's no excuses anymore, in my opinion, because too much is happening. There's no way you can't see. I mean,
you know, the same thing too with the killing of people, you know, and saying, oh, well, God gave them that land. Well, your God's a fucking murderer, you fucking shitbag. I'm sick of this. I'm in a mood today, y'all. I'm sick of it.
I noticed. It's okay. I love it when you're in a mood.
And think it's okay. It's whatever.
In the name of religion, everything's okay if religion says so.
God says.
I go fucking nuts on the Christians because they all act like this whole thing of like, oh, look at the Middle East and all that religious stuff and genocide. I'm like, dudes, have you not studied the Catholic Church's history, Christian history? The entire church is built upon genocide. The entire world was genocided by the Catholic Church. And you're fingers at another religion for doing the same thing. Holy shit.
They don't know. And Big Pharma's done a real good job of keeping everybody asleep.
And distractions.
Yeah, old King James. Gotta love old King James.
Don't even get me started on King James.
Sorry, bastard.
Listen, this is the thing. Like, am I surprised that the Christchurch false flag event happened last week? No, because everyone's still talking about it. It is literally the entire alt media are out there right now going over, spending 100 hours reviewing frame by frame every piece of video evidence, etc. And while they're all looking at something that we all know was a false flag event, and that doesn't mean people weren't killed, it means it was set up, pre-planned, and executed for the government to do what they wanted to do, i.e. to try and take away guns. It was a distraction. The alt media right now is still, was anyone talking about Brexit? Was any Mueller report? No one was prepared for this shit. It was like this, pow, pow, pow. The EU referendum, the EU parliamentary vote on Article 11 and Article 13, boom, let's put it in while everyone is completely distracted. Look at the shit that played out this week while everyone was completely distracted by Christchurch. Look at...
And the Mueller report.
Okay, and the Mueller report, okay? The shooting in the Florida school, 2 of the students have now committed suicide, and now a father who was apparently the father of a victim from
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook committed suicide, all in the same week. Why? Were they about to talk? Were they about to come forward and start saying some shit? Were they cracking under the pressure of trying to hold up these lies of shit that they knew didn't play out that way? Boom, suicide. Anyone else find that convenient? No. Not even slightly.
I'd like to say something, Danny. So much has gone on in the last 5 minutes, I can't address it all. I'll try. You were complaining about Canada, which what you said is true. But as you were saying that, I was thinking, we used to think that about Australia too. At least down here in the States we did. We had this vision of Australia being a version of Canada, only way the hell down under. But from what I'm hearing, not only from the media, or the alternative media, but from people who actually live there, who are in this room right now, some of them, Australia is turning into a horrible place politically, for sure, for the residents.
Ben turns on his camera. Here's my cue.
Yeah,
Ben's
well,
walking
here
in.
we go. but no, that's only the beginning, Danny. Jane was pitching a fit, justifiably so, about can't people see? Well, the answer is, and you know the answer, they won't see, they don't want to see, and they never will see. So to sit there and hope they would it's a vain effort.
Yep.
They cannot. And we talked about this, I think we talked about this Sunday before the movie. I think we talked about it, or maybe last Wednesday. I don't remember. We talked about the fact of if they pull that one chink out of the chain and analyze it, that one piece, the entire chain falls apart. And that chain is their entire life, their entire belief structure. And if they allow themselves to question even one piece, the chain breaks. And a lot of people subconsciously, unconsciously know this. They know the world is fucked. They know reality is completely fucked. They know the politicians are fucked. They know all the financial stuff. They get it. But if they allow themselves to even question a single piece of this, their chain snaps. And then all the links snap. Because once you know what it's like, you break that one link. We all woke up, we all started with one single rabbit hole. There was one thing that grabbed us, we researched, and we went, holy shit. And then from there, you follow the chain, and you go down all the rabbit holes. And each one shatters as soon as you touch it. And a lot of people are terrified terrified of losing their sense of reality because they've built their whole lives on this chain of reality, and it all works perfectly balanced together. And they're
On that very point, on that
That's
very
right.
point, go ahead, Dawn. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Maury. Maury, hold on. Maury was talking first. Go ahead, Maury.
All right. Well, listen. On that particular point, I've thought about that a lot. If people do, if people go down one of those rabbit holes, for instance, the reason they resist it so strongly is because it makes them have to stand up and take responsibility, and
Yes.
that's the last thing they ever want to do.
Yep.
They would much rather throw off and blame somebody else for the ills of everything.
Well, they
Yep.
risk
So they
their
don't go after it. Because if they don't know it in their minds, which a lot of them do, but if they don't really know it in their mental cognition and the front of their mind and stuff, interiorly they do. And so therefore they consciously choose to look away.
Yep.
And that's a choice too, but that's why they don't do it, Danny, because it would make them have to stand up and be responsible, and they don't want to do that.
or risk their
comfy spot.
well, no, their reputation.
That's what I mean. Their comfy spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like exactly their
Because look-
reputation. They want to
Yeah.
be normal. They've bought into this. Everyone want to be like the
That's
Joneses.
it.
They don't want anyone. Well, listen. One of the big things that came out today, I forgot to mention this in the news story. A county in New York State has just passed a law.
Yeah.
Any unvaccinated child is not allowed in a public place for the next
Including
30 days.
doctor's office.
Including, they're not allowed out. They're not allowed to go to school. They're not allowed to go to the library. They're not allowed to go to the mall. They're not allowed to go to the doctors. They're not allowed to go to the hospital. They're not an unvaccinated. And I put this out huge. I said this morning, I said, do you comprehend? How are they going to know what children is vaccinated or unvaccinated? Number one,
Yeah, and how are they going to know if they get vaccinated?
Hold on, Earl. Hold on. Either they have to have the school boards open the records, the doctors open their records, etc. That is all covered under your privacy laws. That means they're going to force those records to be open and publicly made aware of which children are not vaccinated. Or are they going to make every person carry their vaccine records around? I.e., you remember the movies, the Gestapo walking around, let me see your papers, show me your papers, show me your papers. Now this is insane. This is a dictatorship of the highest level. This is fascism. This is real dictatorship. This isn't fucking Maduro and Assad and Gaddafi. No, this is true actual dictatorship. Now, the interesting thing is if you listen to the video I did last night, Daniel from PocketNet is from the USSR, back when it was the USSR. And the reason he said, and we talked about it a little more privately, and I will definitely have him back on because he's one of us, folks. Daniel is an unfucker. He said he watched the U.S. He's living in the U.S. for his whole life after being a child, coming over from Russia. And he watched these laws. He watched this happening. He says, this is Soviet Russia all over again. This is Soviet Russia happening all over again. When you see this censorship happening, when you see this freedom of speech not being allowed, this is the Soviet Russia return. And he took his family and he left. He fucking left. He said, done. Yeah, more.
One more thing, and it completes what I wanted to say in the beginning. I want to comment on what Dawn said, because she made a strong case, and I agree with it 100%. The thing is, my view on that is Trump never was other than what he is today. It's just that most people didn't know it. And they placed faith in, just like they placed faith in Obama back in 2008. They believed the rhetoric, they wanted it to be true, and they voted him in. That son of a bitch was just as bad, maybe even worse, I don't know. But him, Obama, Trump, Bush, second for sure. And actually, if you go back, you go to Clinton and
Reagan, the Clintons.
Before him.
Yeah.
They're all doing the same thing. They might be doing it from different angles, using different justifications, but the net result is
It's the
the
same.
murderers, all of them.
Yep.
and they can sit there and divide people with, you know, Russiagate or not Russiagate, but that's all surface stuff compared to what's really going on. And
Yep.
I think we all know that, and it's literally true. They're all a bunch of sons of bitches. That's
Every one of them
Real
has
quick,
sold us out. Every one of them has sold us out.
Absolutely. But that's their job. And the fact that the public keeps voting these people in, like each election in Canada, the last election in Canada was a prime example of that. I knew Canadians who I was really involved with all my political activism with them, who were there like, oh, Justin Trudeau, he's our man. Yeah. Rah, rah, rah. And I was like, seriously? You know how this fucking in Canada, three-party system works. It's the same. It's always the same shit. And they fell for it. And these same people now are going, oh, gee, Justin Trudeau and CNC Lavalin, and oh God, now it's, oh gee. And I'm like, you voted him in. Why did you fucking do that? Like, I don't comprehend how people keep voting for these people and expecting a different outcome. The only way these guys get into power, or get to that place of power, to even be up for an election, is because they're part of the system. Listen, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And Fred, you said it about the Fourth Reich. Yeah, right now we're watching the rise of the Fourth Reich. Right now, if you want to call it that. And it's happening in the US and Canada and Australia and England and France and Italy and New Zealand and all over the world.
But this time it's gonna start over here. The beginning's gonna be starting over here. I just got that feeling, you know.
The beginning of what?
Of how Germany, you know, started.
Like the Fourth Reich, you mean?
Yeah, like World War III is gonna be starting over here. That's how I feel, you know.
Yeah. It's craziness. And now, let's go back to the geomagnetic stuff again. Because again, there's a part of me that keeps looking at a lot of the shit that we're seeing politically playing out that is really wondering whether or not all of the political stuff is a distraction. Because if we're all having this conversation, talking about Trudeau and talking about Theresa May and talking about Donald Trump and talking about Putin and, you know, pick a world leader, are we distracted from the physical reality of the shit that's going on around us? And again, like I said, the geomagnetic stuff. And I have to look at that. Okay, the fact that Donald Trump made that proclamation, if you will, about electromagnetic and being prepared, considering the week that we've had, the insanity, the crazy shit that we've been watching happen, play out in the geomagnetics, on the plasma stuff, et cetera, over the last 6 months especially. Little reports that we've had. Little reports that came out. There was the one, the guy who called into the Marfugel show. And we talked about that back in, I think that was December or January. And it was someone who was a U.S. Forces saying he was being called up. And he was being called up to be internal of the country. And that he was really, really concerned that there was something going on. And during December and January, there were several, take it as you will, could all be bullshit? Of course it could. But there were several people who came forward from various defense agencies, NASA, etc., saying something's happening. They're planning for something. They're planning for something. I don't know. Yeah, Nancy?
That piece that you put at the start of the show under Transpicuous News, the thing from Donald Trump about the EMP.
Yep.
I can't help but think that that's actually even part of the narrative, part of the distraction because they have us all focused on EMPs. Do you notice that
Man-made EMPs.
man-made EMPs is where they've got us all looking? And if you go in the prepper ranks, people are preparing for grid down situations, man-made EMPs,
Yep.
high altitude nuclear bursts.
Yep.
There's nothing about the broken magnetic field lines that you've been showing on the magnetosphere and how our protection is going down and how C-class flares will now be greater because we don't have the same protection as we did when we were in a solar maximum, for example. So they have us all looking. So something is coming. And maybe for plausible deniability, they'll have us looking over here for some reason. But I can't help but think that that's actually part of the narrative as well.
I agree.
We know perfectly well they only release information where they want us to look, right?
And I agree. And this is my whole thing. Is that what we're going to see? Are we going to see, they know some kind of incoming blast is going to happen. They know that the solar minimum, we're going to start seeing these very detrimental to technology type solar blasts coming in, and they'll prep it all out with all of this shit, and then they'll blame it on someone as oh, we've been attacked by Russia. Of course, it'll be the Russians, because, you know, the Russians are the ones who do everything right now. The Russians have attacked us with an EMP, and now we're going to retaliate in whatever way. Venezuela is now under their second blackout situation. They just got their power back on, and the power grid has been taken down again. This is electronic warfare being used on Venezuela to keep taking their power grid down. Who's been doing it? Of course it's the U.S. government that's doing it. We all know it's the U.S. government that's doing it. Anyone with a logical brain knows who it is who keeps taking the power out. How are they doing it? Oh, some kind of a directed EMP type weapon? Could be. Is this, again, like you say, the precursor type thing where so they can start blaming shit?
We have to watch their movements as well because that will tell us what's coming, right? The only way to protect yourself from an incoming pulse would be to go underground.
Yeah.
Right? You don't go underground if there's going to be flooding. You don't go underground for other earthquakes or other things. You'll know when there's movement of people going underground. Now, how we'll know that, I don't know, because what's happened to the EU should be shortly coming to America, right? Because it's not just the EU that's affected. It is right now by the passing of the law, but that's, like you said in your Facebook post, it's a testing ground.
Yep. Now, here's the thing. So, Fred just said this. Fred, and this is perfect. Exactly, Fred. Wait, that only works if the U.S. is the only one who goes down. But if they've already set up all the social media censorship so that you can't hear that England is down, that Canada's down, that Mexico's down, that there's other places in the world, if the censorship pieces are already in place, which is what they are building right fucking now, then you won't know that, hey, it's not just Washington, D.C. that's had this EMP and New York and Chicago. No. It's Toronto. It's Sudbury. It's you know, like, is that what the censorship is about?
Remember the blackout in 2000?
2003?
The Eastern Seaboard went out in those days. Toronto.
That was 2003, a summer of 2003
Toronto,
blackout.
Windsor, the whole Eastern Seaboard was taken out of U.S. and Canada. Was taken out.
I don't remember that. What was that?
Yeah, but power went out across the Eastern Seaboard. It took like 3-4 days to get power back up.
I don't remember this. Can somebody give me a date? When did that happen?
2003.
Was it 2003? It wasn't the whole Eastern Seaboard, though, was it?
Yeah, the whole Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah, because I know I'm Toronto and the whole area of like areas of Ontario and that. I remember that. Craziness, folks. This is what I'm saying. You get to the point where you start questioning every one of the pieces that comes out publicly and going, okay.
But with the Mandela effect, I don't know if that's even changed. So.
Yeah, God knows.
No, I'm with you on that, Earl. It was August 2003. And it was the whole Eastern Seaboard.
Yep. See, I don't remember it being the whole Eastern Seaboard. I just remember it being like all of Toronto and parts of Quebec and all of that. Luckily, I had just done shopping the day before, so I had a full freezer.
Because at the time, I was watching, I had my computer hooked up to my old television that I had that I got when I was living on my own. And I was watching one of those live concert thing. I think it was kind of Woodstock kind of thing. And all of a sudden, poof, power goes out while I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like,
well, Sticky Marks out there in Twitch land, welcome to the crazy family. You definitely found your crazy channel to follow. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, I mean, listen, shit has gotten so weird that there are no boundaries anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if all of you guys are the same, where you sit there and go, you look at some of the stuff that's happening, and there's nothing that is too crazy to consider anymore. Literally, like, I'm open to just about how crazy, and the more crazy theories that get put out, it makes me go, I may need to pay attention, because everything is so crazy right now. Maybe we really need to be looking at what we would have considered to be insane, crazy theories and hypotheses. But now they're like, you put them on the table, and go, yeah, no, that could be, yeah, that could work into this.
It's as if they know that they're running out of time, so they're trying to cram everything that they can in order to, like, get what they need done, you know? It's like someone, like, getting ready for a camping trip, but they have to, like, hurry up, get all the preparations and that, because they didn't do it, like, several weeks before, so, you know.
Yep. Okay, so Megan was just talking about Mercury, okay? Because this is strange. I had a really strange day today. Because it's not like I don't say this every week. I had a really strange day today. I went to bed relatively late, I will admit. It was probably about 1:30 in the morning when I went to bed. I slept until 11 o'clock in the morning this morning. And when I got up thinking, oh, it's like 8 o'clock. I should get up and go feed the dogs, I guess. And just as I got up, Nick was like, oh, I was just coming in to wake you up. You know, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, right? And I was like, what? The day has been surreal for me. The day has been completely outside of time. Completely outside of time. And I didn't know that it was Wednesday until someone made a comment. Somewhere in one of the groups made a comment about being the UnFuckIt discussion tonight. And I was like, oh, I was convinced it was Monday. I was completely convinced it was Monday. And literally, I was sitting at my computer. I was chatting with Megan and Jules and Amina, and was like all of a sudden going, oh, fuck, I just looked at the time. It's 4 o'clock. I have to start making dog food. I have to make dinner for the humans. And it was 4 o'clock. And how the hell did that fucking happen? The whole day. And it had this really strange feeling all day today. I had crazy fucking dreams again last night. And I've talked to a bunch of people who said the same thing. They had really, really crazy dreams last night. Not that anyone can ever remember them, of course, but so we've got this Mercury thing. And what was it, Megan? Can you maybe explain what it is, if you don't mind coming out and just talk about this, because you talked about this whole thing with the retrograde. It's in the stop motion. That was it.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to walk away from the howling for a moment. When a planet changes direction in our view, aka we call it retrograde, the day that it is going direct and then it turns into retrograde, or the flip of that, like what's happening now, like Mercury is retrograde tomorrow, it will be direct. It does a pause in the middle, like it moves forward, pause, and then reverse, or move back, pause, forward. A planet like Mercury, that's pretty fast moving, this takes, the better part of a day. Something like Saturn that moves very slow, it'll sit on a degree for weeks, almost like it's pulsing on it. It's pretty crazy. So today is the day that Mercury sits still. Mercury retrograde is pretty fucked up as it is, but the day that it goes direct and the day that it goes retrograde with the station is always way worse, because it's heightened, because it's sitting still, almost like, pounding on that degree.
Boom.
Yeah. And then today, it's not only Mercury sitting stationary, it's sitting stationary on Neptune. Neptune rules delusions and illusion and fog. And, it's imaginative, it's the dreams, it's all these out of reality kind of things. And it's in Pisces, which it rules. So it's in a very strong position. This is why dreams have been really messed up. This is why people are like, am I like super intuitive and I'm reading people's minds, or am I batshit crazy? Like,
Yes!
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, like it's
all day today.
Yeah.
All day today. I've been doing it all day today with my kids, where all of a sudden like a thought pops into my head, and then bedtime today. I always say to my youngest son, okay, what song do you want me to sing for bedtime? And he has like his top 5 favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like, do you want a long song? Do you get a short song, depending on how rushed mommy is before showtime? And he picked a song, and I knew he was going to pick it, and it's one he hasn't picked in a couple of months. And I was like, okay. And turned around, and Quinlan turned around, and she did it to Quinlan and Kira several times today, said the exact same thing at the exact same time, and they looked at each other and went, how did you,
it's a total brain trip, isn't it? And if you think about it, Mercury is our mind. It's the way that we mentally process information, and we sift through it, and we file it away, and we communicate about it, right? It's very cerebral. Neptune and Pisces energy, they're the complete opposite. They're very intuitive. So when the mind all of a sudden is married to all this intuition, the mind's like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, what? It kind of trips you up a little bit. And then there's another aspect of Pisces, which is, you can be often kind of like La La Land, because it also, like Hollywood and stuff like that, drama, imagination, fantasy, it's all ruled under like the glamour of Neptune. So it's been really easy to just really not be like present, which is why you have people driving on the wrong side of the roads, or driving up telephone poles, or, just crazy stuff everywhere.
Well, okay, and then so then you have the opposite directional stuff, right? The plane that fucking took off from London was supposed to go to Germany and landed in fucking Ireland or Scotland. Where did it fucking land? And they're blaming, everyone's blaming everyone. Everyone's like blaming, oh, it's the fault of the German company because they gave the wrong directions. Like seriously. Or is it, again, what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks? Directions are doing this within people's heads. Like, people just are not capable of keeping their personal directionary homing pigeon is not fucking working at the moment.
No, it's totally not.
Danny, earlier today, I was thinking, I went to check to see if the Zoom link was out right around 3. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, they changed it, right? Like my brain was, but I had to look several times because I wasn't sure. It was like, I know they changed it. I know.
Yeah, a little note to the Twitch audience. The Unfuckers members are with me here in Zoom. So we have 48 people plus myself in Zoom. all chatting. Just there's only 4 who have their cameras on at the moment, and then everyone else is coming in on live. So we have our own chat within our Zoom. That's all of us chatting here. Plus, we've got the Zoom over the chat box over there on Twitch. Apparently, someone on Twitch thought there was just the 4 of us having a quiet conversation. No, there's actually close to 50 of us sitting here.
I have a question, actually.
Yeah, hit me.
We all keep throwing this out there and saying they're running out of time. They're running out of time. What are they running out of time from? What's the end goal? Okay. Are they running out of time because they expect, because we're moving into this denser region of space where we've got all these exotic particles and things coming in, and it's going to be changing our atmosphere, it's going to change molecules and penetrate our DNA, it's going to perhaps cause our awakening? That's another familiar thought. What are they running out of time from? Are we perhaps approaching that awakening, or is it that they need to get control of us before these catastrophes happen? I'm not sure. We always throw that out there, and I want to know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
Throw it open on the floor. Throw it open on the floor to everyone, because I mean, literally, I've looked at every piece of that, and every single thing that you said, Nancy, is something that is definitely things that I've considered.
Yeah, I just don't know. They're running out of time. They're running out of time. Time, because we're in that dense. When did we start to cross into this denser region of space? Was that the 2012 marker?
I don't know. I have never been able to get an absolute answer on that. And
can I weigh in on that a bit, Danny?
Yeah, hun, go ahead.
Looking into the research that I've been doing on the Mayan long count calendars, the reason why it's really hard to pinpoint is because it's not an actual event, it's a window. And it's funny because the window that they give is from the mid-'80s through to just prior to the beginning of 2020. So one could surmise December 2019. If you look at the Saturn-Pluto cycle of them doing their big conjunction and smashing things apart, that book ends the last one and the next one. And in December, at the end of December, we kick off eclipse cycles that tie into the big conjunction. So I think because it is a large window in a very large count system, it's hard to hone in on an exact date or an event. I think it's been a period of time that we're traversing through. The Mayans liken it to being in like the great womb of the mother, and we're going through like the birthing pains of the new as the old dies, and it's super uncomfortable.
Hello, transition.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of co-option and corruption done for them to hide the proverbial they, to hide our, true history, our true origins, the truth about so many things. And I think there was a thought that if they could, dumb us down as society, that we just wouldn't notice and things would just not change. But I think on a cellular level, things are changing because we are moving into these different densities, if you will. So, I mean, you can drag things out for so long, but eventually, like, you can leave the lights on in a dark room and convince somebody it's dark outside, but eventually sunlight's going to seep in one way or another. It's going to become apparent. And I think that's kind of what's happening in terms of like they are running out of time. And I think with Pluto being at the same degree that it's going to be at when the conjunction happens right now, with the South Node about to move on to it, everything that needs to break apart is going to be very, very apparent. And it's going to be like a phase of, oh my God, like, why can't the sheeple see what is in front of your face? It is so apparently in front of your face. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better because things have to be broken apart.
Well, if you can just look at this year. Look at this year. Like, at the end
And
of
that's just starting.
2019, we already thought we'd reached the epic levels of insanity, and it's only done this for all of 2019. It's exponential growth, like I said.
And it's not changing.
Alone.
Yep, and it's not changing. It's actually just going to keep doing that straight into 2020.
I'm not just
Hang on to your hat, Danny. Hang on to your hat.
Yeah, hold on to my
Yes,
hat.
it's going to be a wild ride, everybody.
Like shaving my head bald by the end of this year. Well, it's interesting because in 2015, and we've talked about this on shows multiple times since then. There was an overwhelming feeling from a lot of people. People who I know who are very intuitive, very energetically connected to a lot of the woo-woo elements of this kind of stuff. That there was a shift, something happened. And one of the big things, almost everyone I spoke to, especially between January, but May to August of 2015, was this sudden feeling of the quintessential they, were in panic mode, that they thought they had more time, to get all their control systems in place. And there was this overwhelming feeling that they were in panic mode of like, oh shit, no, we don't have another X many years. We have, we don't have this much time. Now we have this much time to get it all done. And none of us could, even then, we couldn't explain it. All the people I spoke to, and this wasn't just people who were like, in the Unfuckers group or following the One People show, etc. This was a whole broad spectrum of people who I know who are, like I said, remote viewers, people who are pretty intuitive to this stuff. They all had the same feeling. No one could explain it. No one could come out and say, it's like this because of this. All we knew is that the overwhelming feeling was that they, whoever they are, they, had suddenly discovered they didn't have the amount of time that they thought they had. Like if they thought the end game for them was 2030, and all of a sudden they were like, oh, fuck. No, it's not. It's like, we've got 3 years. We've got 4 years. We've got 5 years to get this, whatever control structure, whatever it was that they had planned to do to maintain their status quo, to maintain their power, whatever you want to call it. All of a sudden, they didn't have that time anymore. And there was a very, very panicked chicken with their head cut off feel to what was going on then. And that has continued. Like that has continued through all of this. And we kind of, like I say, we've talked about loops and cycles, how within those moments, there seems to be like things where it goes into a little cycle, and then all of a sudden you feel that panic hits up again. And that's what it feels like again right now. Right now it feels like chickens with their head cut off. They have to do anything they can possibly can, even though they know it's going to work against them. So for example, Macron saying that the French military can open fire with live ammunition on the yellow vest protesters is the stupidest thing he could possibly do. The French people are already that close to full-on revolt. The moment one fucking private or sergeant opens fire with a fully automatic weapon on the protesters, no matter what those protesters are doing, the country will go up in flames. And that decision to everything that I've watched Macron do in France over the last 3-4 months shows the insanity of what they're up against, and how these guys are literally, they are trying anything and everything in their power to try and make something, to try and squash it, to do anything. And everything they're doing is making it the complete opposite. The same thing with this, with the EU, with Article 11 and Article 13. If there's one thing that is going to make a common person uprising, when you tell scores of millennials, millions and millions of them, that they can't post a meme on fucking social media, what do you think is going to fucking happen? We've made jokes about it for years. The way you have to get the young people up and marching in the streets is to take away their internet. This effectively is exactly what the EU Parliament has just passed a law on. There'll be no more memes. There'll be no more posting trailers to movies. There'll be no more posting funny song parodies. There will be no more of this. What's going to happen when this happens? We're going to see massive fucking uprising. There will be, literally, I had my non-biological son here today, and he was talking about it. And he's like, his friends are the most passive, non-political teenagers in the world. And they're enraged today. Like, they're ready to fucking put on yellow vests and start marching up to the prime minister's fucking palace and start kicking windows in because of this EU ruling. So they're doing these things, but it's like they're doing these things, it's like acts of desperation. They're doing things that makes no sense. Like this whole shit with Venezuela. Like, I mean, even the fucking shit that they're saying about Venezuela in the US.
It does make sense. This reminds me of some old Michael Tassarian lectures about 2012. I mean, he also was not very specific when that time window comes, but what he was specific is that we are entering a new kind of space where we get other or the highest form of light. We have planets moving into positions where they are literally the roach exterminator, so to speak, where the natural field of the earth, so to speak, if you want to see it as a superorganism, all the immune system's going to kick in, right? Like, we are the white cells on this planet. We were intended like this, right? We are beginning to understand our own path that we were on, but we were disrupted, right? Like, all the screeching and censoring and all that shit around shows me that they are very, very, very terrified of the idea that they could control us in the past, but not control us that much now, right?
And
like,
that's what I'm saying.
How did Kissinger say it? How did Kissinger say back then, or who was it? It was easier to kill it was easier to control 1 million people back then. Now it is easier to kill 1 million people today, right? Like, they're very, very terrified. I mean, there were even some underground memes that I cannot fully discuss here, but from where I come from, that were posts that had very, very specific, I mean, you don't get a random number if you post, but you get like a number in queue, right? Like, and these posts had like this amazing digits to it that were literally predicting that very, very soon there will be a global awakening to the point that people become aware of the parasitic nature, how we all have been abused and shit like that. Absolutely. How we all have been sucked dry, right? Like, I mean, it is this junction point where, like you said, the threads are coming loose, right? Like, the whole construct is breaking apart when the people realize, I don't get any pension where I can live from, right? Like, people get mad about this, then now the meme stuff happens, now the censoring happens, right? Like, they need to get control back to us. They need to whip us into submission. That is why I think...
Doing it, what I'm saying is, they're doing it in a way that any logical thinking person would go, oh, this is going to backfire.
Don't say that. Back then, when they were in power, it worked this way. You killed a few people, you put a few heads on a pike, people behaved. But now it is different, right?
It's like, not even back then. Like, we're not talking 100 years ago. They learned their lesson about this during, for example, the Vietnam War. They learned their lesson. What happens when you open fire on peaceful protesters in the United States? Oh, shit gets real fucking bad, real fucking fast, right? So this is what I'm saying. It's not about even history, past history. These guys know this shit.
Yeah, but we are still assuming we're having to do with human beings, right? That learn their lesson. But from what I can see, like you said earlier, like the palace, I wouldn't call it a palace. I would call it a fucking lair, right? Like a lair where you have some sort of fucking mystical being or whatever dwelling, so to speak.
No, I get that. Whether they're human or not, we're not even going to get into that one, because God knows that's one of those pieces that we can talk about all night long, right? The French president knows that what he's done is the stupidest thing he could possibly have done. Bar none. It doesn't matter if he's human. It doesn't matter if he's a fucking from Mars. It doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter what he is. All he has to do is look at history. All he has to do is look at history over the last 5 months. That's it. It's the stupidest thing he could have done. And it will backfire on him in the biggest way possible. That's what I'm saying about the fact that they're making these decisions in like panic mode. That's the feeling that it's like they will do anything right now. No matter how stupid the decision is, no matter how much they probably even already know that it's going to backfire on them. They're out of ammunition. Like they've run out of every other option. Now they're going to go ridiculous. And it's like we're saying, like the censorship right now. We've been talking about censorship since they first started trying to pass these various internet laws in 2013, then again in 2015, etc. But in the last 2 months, 3 months, it's gone like this. Even the most common people are now going, whoa, 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 whoa. I just put a post up that was an article from the newspaper and I just had my account closed down. Wait a second here. Wait a second. People are massively waking up. And it's every time they put, Nick has got an analogy that I love. And he says, you grab a ball of mud. If you take the ball of mud and you go like this, gently, you can shape it into all kinds of shapes you want. You do it gently, even pressure, etc. But if you take that ball of mud and you put it in your hand and all of a sudden you do this, what happens to it? It just squirts out from between your fingers. It squirts out and you end up with nothing, a little bit in the palm of your hand, and everything else has escaped. And that's what's happening right now. That's how they're acting right now. Yeah, Mercy.
That's what David Icke coins the totalitarian tiptoe.
The totalitarian. I can't even say it.
Totalitarian tiptoe. They cross the line. The totalitarian tiptoe moves very slow that nobody notices it.
Exactly.
And now their tiptoes went too big. Everyone noticed it.
They're running fast in a pair of clogs.
Yeah, don't they have who was it? Was it Juncker or was it someone else from the EU who put in the room a few years ago like their behavior? We put a new law in front of the attention, right? If the people revolt, we step back. A few years later, we put it back in there and see if there are people reacting. If they don't, we get through with it, right?
And that's
we get one step after another. Exactly.
And they twist it.
Perfect.
There's certain news articles that they put out, and we watch them. And I've talked about this since I started doing the news. You'll see a news article come out, and it'll be about a piece of technology, or about a political stance, or about a law, or about financial pieces. And they put it out, and then they watch, and then they pull they pull it back. They don't touch that again, and they watch how everyone reacts to it. And then 6 months later, 8 months later, they'll put it out again, but it'll be slightly different. And they'll put it out again, and then they watch how the public reacts, and how the public reaction, because they control social media, they get to know exactly what everyone's saying about it. They watch how it plays, and then they twist it, and they just change it. Is the public quite ready for this yet? No, they're not ready yet, so we'll pull it back for a year. And then we'll put it out again. Same article, slight changes, and see how the people, if they're ready for this yet. And they do this all the time, and they've done this all along. And you can literally take articles and put in your keywords and do a search, a historical search, and you'll see the same articles come out in 2008, 2009, 2011, 2013, 2014, 2016, and it's the exact same article. And it's because they're touching the water to see, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Can we put this out yet? Yeah, Maury?
Yeah, something, I mentioned it in the chat, but I think it's worthy of expressing, in the video here. What we've been doing for the last 20 years in various ways, shapes, and forms, we've been investigating the visible pyramid of power that we see.
Yeah.
That means all the way up the hierarchy, you know, Macron and back in the day, Kissinger and all of these people all over the world. And we're trying to figure out what they're doing and why they're doing it and the secrets that they've been holding. But where I'm coming from is that these people are really, they're just marionettes on a string. And what's really calling the shots is not those people. They're the visible ones that we see. And we have been involved in dissecting their maneuvers, and it's all valid because they're doing it, you know. But I think we need to, honestly, I can't help but overemphasize this. But what Megan and Jules and Amina have been talking about, you're more likely to find the real answers in something like that than be stuck down here looking at what these whatever you want to call them negatively, people are doing. Because they're still answering to a higher authority. And then we get into, you know, all the esotericism, you know, principalities and all of that kind of thing that gets really, really murky and hazy because we don't have anything you know, except in the esoteric circles to write about it.
Well, and this is one of the pieces, right? Because there's who put the information out? Oh, God. There was a piece of information brought out. Randy Moggins had it on his show, I'm going to say sometime maybe in the summer, this last summer. He had, and their names have gone right out of my head, Manor World Trust on. And there was Kim, who's the trustee for Manor World Trust, and Thomas. I was like going, I'm with Thomas, but I couldn't remember if it was first name or last name. Isn't that funny? And one of the things she talked about, take it as you will, right? As we do with everything, take it as you will, was the fact that she showed or had a document that showed the hierarchy. And that basically all these guys that we, if you want to call it the big pyramid scheme, all these guys that we consider to be the top of the pyramid scheme, your Donald Trumps, your Putins, your Theresa Mays, your Queen of England, your popes, they are mid to low level. That's where they stand in the pyramid of hierarchy. And that there are many, 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 many levels above. And one of the things that she said that was very, very interesting to me was the fact that the upper top levels are fucking gone. And therefore, there's no proper direction and instructions being sent down anymore. And I found it, the reason I found it very interesting is because, again, when we correlate massive amounts of data, and we have conversations with a whole pile of people in 2015 who are saying they are running scared, they're freaking out, we can feel it, we don't know what it is that they've run out of time on, we don't know what it is that is triggered them in this. And then when someone comes out from, again, a completely different place and says, those upper levels are gone. So the lower level guys, they're not getting any proper instructions. And their followers, they don't run on, they don't have the ability to think and strategize. They aren't trained for that. They're put into places to follow orders. So if you take away the rulers, and then you look at, again, at what Macron is doing, at what Donald Trump is doing, at Theresa May, at all these purported leaders, it kind of makes sense when you sit there going, like, they're acting like completely fucking insane people. Like complete fucking insane, like they don't have a clue what the fuck they're doing. The templates are broken. So they're using their own templates over and over and over again, the set pieces that they have always used, but they don't work anymore. They don't work anymore, and they're not capable of creating a new template, of creating a new method of control.
Yeah, they're not creative beings.
No, they're not.
Creative. They depend on us for that.
Yeah.
There was a line in a movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that one where he was on Mars, where, you know, it was the memory thing. And
Total Recall. There you go, Star.
Near the end, the bad guy and his boss were in the room together, and the bad guy had told his boss, he says, he made a decision his boss didn't like. And he said, but I thought, and the boss shut him off and he said, you don't have enough information to think. You're only there to follow orders.
Exactly.
And that was in a movie probably 20 years ago, maybe 30 for all I know. It's been a long time. Total Recall.
Yep.
There's an esoteric story to what you're alluding to too, that others know much more skillfully than I do, and I leave that to anybody that cares to comment on. Never mind.
No. I fucking agree. I think that is the most apropos quote to use in the moment. I just want to go over here on Twitch. Sticky Mark said, talking about the 10,000 troops in UK. I laughed about that when I heard that there was like, I think it's more than 10,000. It's like 13,000 troops, isn't it, that are in the UK right now? And I literally was like, is this to support Brexit? Like, if they brought all these foreign troops in for exercises because they're afraid they're going to need help controlling the people with all this Brexit stuff? There's a major Brexit vote happening tonight in the UK Parliament, and it should have been out already. I haven't had a chance to go look at the news and see what the outcome of it was. Is that why they brought in? Because it's much easier to order foreign troops to your public than it is your local troops, right? And we've talked about this all along. How many people have we talked about in American military who've come forward and said, if they order me to fire on my own people, I'm going to tell them to shove this rifle up their ass. I'm not going to fire on my own people. So is that why this UK thing with them bringing 13,000 troops in, coincidentally right now with the Brexit shit? Yeah.
Danny, on that one, I can speak from personal experience. I was in the Air Police, U.S. Air Force in 1964, and in our training, in our tech school, so to speak, we had a week of what they called crowd control, which they didn't call it, to the levels that they're talking today with what's going on in France. But supposedly, if something occurred in a city somewhere, one of the things that they told us then, and I remembered it then when I heard it, I said, they said they would never send anybody that lived in that area, no matter where. Say New York City, Detroit, Michigan, Cincinnati, Ohio, whatever. They would make damn sure that anybody that lived in that area or surrounding area was not sent, because they knew back then that the likelihood of those people firing on their people was slim to none. And I think Slim went over the hill a little while ago.
Oh,
but that's 50 fucking years ago. They were training the U.S. military that way.
And why were they in that time and age? Because the Gulf of Tonkin. And they knew what was going to happen with the Vietnam War. They already knew the amount of protests there was going to be.
Nope. The Gulf of Tonkin happened afterwards. For me, it was
in planning at that point, right?
Absolutely true. But technically, I was already up in Alaska when the Gulf of Tonkin happened, and this is prior to that. So the military was already well aware, and that's how they were handling it. And they probably were training their guys before me for years.
Yep.
Mentality. Okay, that's just a little aside, but
no, that's a good little piece of history aside, and we know that, right? I mean, that only makes common sense. You're not going to send a guy who's born and raised in New York City to quell an uprising in New York City if it's against the people of New York, because you all know how badly that's going to go for them. I'm telling you, guys, he's fucking crazy,
May all the beings, may all the spirited beings on this planet, with the big squeeze, I'm calling it the big squeeze because maybe some people need to be squeezed to wake up.
Maybe.
Keep doing shit that's ridiculous. So let's hope all the spirited beings wake up, because the non-spirited beings like, and we're all just, filing in and building our own prison, and it's time for that to stop.
Yep. And that's it. I mean, that's the one for all the insanity, for all of this insanity that we've discussed tonight. The one piece of this that continuously plays out to me is the fact of the mud in the hand. The harder they squeeze, the more people will escape. In France, in the EU, with this passing of Article 11 and 13, with the whole thing with Brexit in the UK, more and more people are waking up. This thing with the mandatory vaccine stuff in the US, I'm seeing people starting to look at it. And like I said, this whole piece with this county in New York State making like a law that unvaccinated teens and children are not allowed to be out in a public place. A whole lot of people who are pro-vaccine suddenly went, whoa, wait a second. Wait, they can't do that. They can't do that. So the tighter they squeeze, and maybe that's the point right now. Maybe that is the point right now.
Exactly what I was going to say. Sorry, I was going to say that an hour ago.
Yep, exactly, Jane. The point right now, maybe that is the point, that they need to get everyone awake, get everyone aware, to make people start to question, at the very least, at least begin to question.
Danny, do you remember?
Gotta get it.
Remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about comparing, my experience to the younger people's experience in the whole business about high intensity and short duration, as opposed to not so high intensity and a hell of a lot longer duration.
Yeah.
If you think along the exact lines you're talking, if you think it's been high intensity, short duration lately, I am here to tell you it's going to be even more so that way over the next little while. And again, little while, I'm talking because I really am tuned into what Megan's talking about relative to that astrological stuff. And I can't prove it, but I think it. And it's going to intensify. It's going to be way higher and shorter duration for these people, but there's a reason for it, and that is to wake up the people that are unaware, that need to wake up, that are still left. And that's what, and of course, I'll say it, the people in here are generally pretty damn awake, but we've got a little more to wake up to ourselves, because we don't have it all completely, and I'll admit
No, we don't.
Hey, let's add in the census, the 2020 census, or the whatever census coming up, and they're hiring all those people to do fingerprinting. So how do you think people are—
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
They're hiring, so they'll come to your fucking door. Let's see how well people handle that.
Yeah, taking your fingerprints. We'd like to have your biometric imprint, please. Yeah, no, I don't fucking think so.
With a lot of people that don't know shit right now, they're going to get all of a sudden really, really high intensity and short duration on them. Watch it happen.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because back in Ontario, I don't know, so this would have been, 2000, right around the time Logan was born, so 2007, we got picked to do the stupid census package. And they get the knock on the door, tick, 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 from the government person going, here, you got to fill up the census. And I was like, no, I don't. And they were like, yes, you do. And I was like, no, actually, I don't. And they were, no, you have to. It's law. I said, then show me the law. And this is this was way before I knew anything like I do now on the legal stuff. It was just, for me, it was like, you are not making me fill out this fucking piece of paper. And no, show me the law. And they were like, well, there's a law. I said, then show me the law. Well, I can't. I don't have it. Well, then why are you trying to force me to take this piece of paper if you can't show me the law that says I have to fill it out? And they were like, well, we'll leave this with you. You can call the number. I said, that's fine. You can leave it with me and you can pick it up in 3 weeks' time and it'll remain there unopened because I'm not filling it out. Well, you'll get charged. I said, by who? And it went on, and literally I got a phone call because they hadn't picked up my census form, and I was like, show me the law. And they passed me about 4 or 5 different people, and I got threatened, and I was just like, I'm not filling it out. You guys refuse to show me the law that says that I am forced to actually give you this information. It's my information. I'm not giving it to you. They never came back. They never came back. I just took up the things. After about 6 months, they sat there on the desk for about 6 months. I just took them all, ripped them all up, threw them in the garbage. Because there's no fucking law. So the same thing when they do the census in the States, you could take your fingerprint. I don't fucking think so. No. Show me the fucking law.
Danny, can I add something to the censorship issue that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if the younger ones are starting to pay attention because things are affecting them, especially if their dear beloved memes can't be posted. Do you remember a couple weeks ago when Mark Zuckerberg came out with his manifesto on Facebook and the changes that they're going to be making and the newsfeed will be disappearing? Well, that's a different version of censorship that nobody's really thought about, right? We have this EU thing happening, of course, and we're probably next. I mean, that gentleman who did the piece in the video that you posted said the censorship will be worse than China. So, but Facebook is moving away from newsfeed. They're going to say goodbye to newsfeed. Well, where do we all go for our newsfeed? We complain about it a lot because we see a lot of shit we don't want to see. But there's a lot of users that use that and say, for example, this event in the county in New York where they've decided that for 30 days, these children that aren't vaccinated cannot go out in the public space. Well, we share that. It goes viral. How do these things get spread? They go viral on Facebook. Well, now that is going to be taken away from us. And that's another form of censorship that nobody's ever thought of. And perhaps it's already in place because the algorithms, remember it all went down?
Yep.
So there's just another aspect to the censorship, right? Spreading of information. Nothing will be going viral anymore. And Facebook is going to be focusing more on...
Well, cat pictures will go viral, and somebody's fancy dinner will go viral.
Yeah.
And someone doing Tide Pod challenges, that'll go viral, but that'll be it.
It's true. Mind you, we won't even be able to post anything in the newsfeed because we won't have the license to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but you see, this is where it's all going to. The UK, didn't they have like this porn blocker or filter that you couldn't watch porn anymore in the UK?
Yeah, they did, but then they got rid of it after a while because it became such a hassle.
Yeah, but they wanted to make it so that you had to get a license to actually have a number that you can type in, and so you were allowed, so you had to buy a license. Oi, mate, do you have your porn license, mate? So to speak. So you have to get at some point probably a license or like a, let's call it like a credit card for links or shit like that, that you have like a certain amount of links that you can link, so to speak, right? That is covered beyond the text law or something like that. I mean, I can see it going this way. This way they can keep tabs on who says what and who you gonna deny next time a card for comments or links.
But here's the thing, though. It's not me personally who gets charged the tax. If I post it on Facebook, it's Facebook that gets charged the tax.
Yeah,
if I post it on YouTube, then it's YouTube that gets charged the tax.
And YouTube's really cutting down on stuff right now. Like, I've heard
they don't have a choice.
said thing, like, he had to get his video checked before he could, like, freaking post it. Like, that's
yeah, but we know our... But Earl, we know our industry, right? If they say there's going to be a carbon tax on the car that only the companies have to pay, so who in the end is paying that tax? Is it the buyer who buys a car where all these taxes are already woven into it? Because
exactly.
they always pound this off at the customers, right? Like, I mean, it's, especially YouTube. They started a while ago to have like this pay-per-view thing where you can watch actual movies on YouTube if you paid for it, so to speak, right?
I don't have a problem with that. Seriously, I don't have a problem with that part. What I have a problem is with all the censorship. Oh, you can't post this, you can't post that. Like,
You know,
Hey.
who said it? They algorithmed us, trying to algorithm us out. Like, even if they make it a payment thing, you can have some access to some stuff, but in the end, they will set the algorithm so that you can't find the stuff that has been uploaded, right? Like, I noticed that lately with Google or with YouTube, that even if you type in search results and you have them sorted out this and that way, let's say sorted out after weeks or months how the stuff has been posted, but they're still showing you stuff from 2015 because the algorithms sent you to this corner, so to speak, even if you pay.
Do you not? Okay, I think you're getting something confused there. The reason why they have the pay service is so, like, if people don't want to get the ads, they don't have to get the ads if they pay for that. That's the reason why they have YouTube.
I haven't seen a single ad on YouTube since, what, 2009 or so? I have.
They have ads.
Oh my God, my YouTube is full of ads. What magic wand did you wave?
They've been putting two last week or a couple weeks ago. They started putting two, and then one ad at the beginning of your video. Now you get two ads at the beginning of your
Fucking
video.
some videos you got them every 5 minutes.
See, that's called YouTube Red. YouTube Red. And you can subscribe to where you don't have any of that, because I subscribe to it because I can't stand all that stuff. But yeah, well, I don't even know how I'm going to pay for it now, because I just fired Google Wallet because they try to take my money. So I don't.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the fucking payment systems again and technology fucking failing.
Yeah.
Payment. Oh wait, you want to talk about payment systems? Okay, Apple and one of the banks, now they're coming out with the Apple credit card now, and yes, they also are making a physical as well as a digital credit card that's on your phone. And yeah, I'm like, wow. But yet, although to me it looks pretty good. Like, you get no fees, you get no charges. Plus, you get into a program where if you buy something,
Yeah,
you get
but that
like
doesn't help, darling. That doesn't help
I know,
everyone else
I
who's
know.
trying to use fucking payment systems that they have no choice but to use. Trust me.
I know.
Does not help.
Very challenging to find a good payment system that actually lasts, because it seems like once the AI gets in there, something shifts, and you better run tail at that point, because just bad energy.
Yep. No, that's it. I mean, and they're all failing. I mean, but again, we talk about technology itself is failing at the moment, across the board, internet. Again, we had a rainstorm today. It wasn't even a storm. We had a bit of a storm last night, but it's been raining all last night, all day today, nonstop. It's fucking rain. Not high winds, no cyclones, no water. Like, literally, our internet has been shockingly bad all day today. As a matter of fact, I was really pleased because it didn't really start coming back until about an hour before the show, and I was like, oh, look, I might have enough internet to be able to actually do the show tonight. It's a disaster. And all these pieces of technology that we're looking at, I'm more and more, this is my whole thing, more and more just going back to this place of, like, need to step away from the technology and be doing stuff that is not reliant upon technology. And for me, like with my Gaia's Garden, with my company, literally it's like, if all of a sudden the internet goes down, I'm fucked. Because all of my clients, with the exception of like 0.1% that I have local clients, all my clients are international. Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, England, France, Norway, right? I don't have local clientele. And I literally had this big thing for the last 2 weeks of going, I need to do something to create more local clientele, face-to-face, shop front type business, because with technology the way it's going, I don't know that I can rely on that as my source of income. What do we do if all of a sudden technology doesn't allow us to be able to do things this way anymore.
And it probably won't, because if we are moving into that region of space, I hate to bring it back to cosmic rays again.
Yeah, but
it changes. These exotic particles that are generated, they actually will change the way our electronics function, right? Because everything's electromagnetic. It changes the molecule. It's radiation. Radiation changes the molecule.
Yep.
And, you know, everything follows magnetic field lines, and everybody in electricity knows the right-hand rule, right? If, you know, you got a rotating magnetic field this way, then the current flows this way. Well, when you get that changed, you're going to have current flowing backwards. Circuits aren't designed for that. They don't have the right diodes and stuff like that. So our technology will actually get a hit. And this might be the early symptoms of seeing the breakdown of our technology. And we're going to, and in correlation with that theory, because we're talking about exotic particles being generated coming in. We haven't seen the auroras yet, which I would have expected to have seen with any changes. But we are seeing these megastorms the size of Australia, starting to come in with these high pressures and low pressures, and the isobars generated in between are giving us these straight line winds that we've never seen or experienced in a long duration before. So I think that when you start connecting the dots with the weather and these straight line winds and these new terms they're coming up with that we should be familiar with, but with our age, we know we've never heard of bombogenesis before. What's a
bombogenesis? Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or, you know, some of these new winds. So I think these little things that you're seeing, like, for example, yesterday we had 3,000 people in the Toronto area without power. The day before, we had 150,000 people. They traced it back to a fuse at one of the transfer stations. Well, I used to work on protective relaying, and it takes very little current to trip these things, right? But what are these? These are outages that shouldn't be happening. And it was
that's crazy.
And it was a problem traced back to the bulk energy supply, not the station, the generation station, but the bulk energy supply. So we're going to be seeing more transformers like New York. Yep. And it's going to give us our light shows, because these things are, their magnetic fields are getting disturbed. Because
so we could see another 2003 again.
Probably.
Oh yeah, very, very much so. I'm expecting it. I'm fully expecting it.
Don't you remember when you and I talked, Danny? I think I sent you a deal where that one guy had tracked asteroids coming in, and then along a straight line, and then the weather system. So, but we also know that you know, the planets, I hate that fucking word, but whatever it is up there that comes in, which is not third dimensional, I don't believe, but that is coming in our and around us, also brings in bad weather. So.
Well, it's not a single answer. We're looking at sorry everyone. It's a multiple layered thing. None of these is a single aspect answer. We're looking at, for example, if we're in this high energy particle cloud galactically that is full of particles, dust, rocks, water, hydrogen, gases, etc. So we're seeing comets come in. We also don't know, and we're talking about, you know, like other planets, etc., etc. We look at the electric universe stuff, and we talk about the astrology, like we have been. Planetary bodies are aligning up, and you're looking at the electric and plasma connections between these. It's never a one piece deal, and that's the caution I have with a lot of people. Is that a lot of people are talking. You get, for example, people who are really on the pole, the magnetic poles are shifting, and they have this one piece. And I'm saying, but there's more going on here. We can't isolate and just say, here is a piece and that's causing everything. It doesn't work that way.
Danny, on that point, exactly. You know, there's an old, I heard it in a history class, but it's also true of the military too. And you must have heard it along the way. They fight the next war with the tactics of the old war.
Yep.
That's in their military planning. And this goes back to what Bassie was saying a while ago, portraying all of these different things that they're doing to us, and we all know versions and variations of it. what they're trying to do is to clamp down on the old way. And what you're talking about now, Nancy and you in particular, are talking about is that all of that shit ain't going to be here no more. So they're fighting a losing battle from the beginning, is what I'm saying, or offering out there for consideration. No matter what they try, they're fighting the last war with the tactics from the last war, if you'll follow the equivalent.
Yep. That's how they're running out of time.
What's that, Dawn?
No, I just said, Maury, that was me. I said, that's how they're running out of time.
That's right. That's where I wanted to go with that. And because that falls into line with what you girls were saying earlier. They don't have enough time, and they're using wrong tactics anyway, is what I'm saying. Even though it's uncomfortable as shit for us in the middle of it. But I think we should stand back and take that larger view and say they're doomed to failure, and this is part of the reason
why. Absolutely.
They're working harder, not smarter.
We may be seeing some new technologies. We may be seeing some new shit come out pretty quick that they got hidden to get done what they want done. So we'll have to watch for that.
Well, this is one of the things that...
Go ahead, Danny. I'm sorry.
No. This is one of the things that's actually really, really interesting, Dawn, because I think what we're going to see, we had some stuff that came up. And if you listen to the astrology show we did Saturday morning, Amina got into this, and Megan and Jules, and talked about things like, we talked about the idea of technology, and was brought up the idea of like science is going to explode. It's just going to go kaboom. And as more and more physical evidence is placed in front of people that shows us that this science that we've been taught in school and in university that has been accepted as real becomes proven to be false, because shit is happening that cannot be explained. As this type of stuff is coming out more and more and more, and we're just talking about things like the plasma stuff, the transformers blowing Nancy, and that more and more people are going to go, no. When we have more floods and we have more of these different things happening on the planet, they're going to get to a point, I honestly believe, where we're going to have this explosion in science and technology, where because they're going to have to all of a sudden open up the vaults. They're going to have to all of a sudden come clean and start talking about what is really happening, because the people aren't going to buy it anymore. They're not going to buy into the old rhetoric and the old fucking explanations. I mean, as it was bombogenesis, half the internet went, the fuck is this shit? It became like social media meme central for about 2 weeks the first time they introduced that word, of everyone going, what the fuck is a bombogenesis? Because you just made that shit up on the spot. Seriously, some weatherman just was like, it's a bombogenesis. That's what it is.
I know where Sega Genesis is, but
Leonida, did you want to add something?
Yes, ma'am, I do. There's quite a few things I'd like to interject into this conversation. One thing is that they don't even know what the sun really is.
Nope.
The second thing is that everything they base their math on is what their theory is about what the sun is. So if they don't know what the sun is, then everything else is like, okay, we're screwed. Okay, so the next thing is that they're going to try and distract us with things in news media, if that's your leaning, political science, whatever you want to go. I'm a gamer, so now Google's trying to put everything on we're going to game streaming. Well, if you can't even
come
internet
on, game
up,
streaming.
Bossy, stop. Seriously.
Okay,
Go ahead, Anita.
Okay, so Google's trying to do that. Then other people are saying, okay, well, the companies have gotten too big. The corporations are taking over all the governments. They're paying off all the politicians, getting all their little laws shoved in there. I was a Marine for 9 years. So we were trained to go in wherever the president said to go. We did the dirty bullshit. Okay, that's the way it works. Okay, so if you think that there are people in the world that won't do what they're told to do, you're wrong. Okay, there are people that will do exactly what they've been programmed to do.
Unfortunately.
The sad thing is that it took me a long time to wake up, but when I woke up with both eyes completely open, okay? The thing of it is that you got to stay grounded in your own shell, kind of, but you do have to get your tribe. You've been saying that for a while. Find your tribe. Okay, also the other thing is that they're trying to cut off the flow of information by overloading us with too much stuff that's been flavored in too many different ways that you can't even tell the truth from a lie.
Yep.
So just stir around in the pot some more. Okay, so and then the last thing that I would like to add to this whole thing is that you're talking about I'm a firm believer in your essential oils, and that as a number one line of defense, I would say everybody should get them. I can't express how great that stuff is. Okay.
The C60.
Yes, ma'am. So, okay, I will back out now and let you get back to serious stuff. But like I said,
No, that was serious stuff.
There is so much stuff going on that a lot of it goes under the radar because we don't look at the local stuff because they're trying to drown it out with the national or international.
Yep.
And realistically, we really already are a one world government. Let's face it. We don't know who the real string pullers are, but every person that's a head of government is really just a puppet. So. Thank you.
I agree. No, I agree. It is a one world government. It absolutely is a one world government. And that's the distraction. It's coming. No, it's not coming. It's fucking here. And it has been here since World War II.
And can I just add something that might be an unpopular statement here? But the new age, we are all one. Back at source, perhaps we're all one. But right here, we're in according to Thomas Campbell and my big toe theory, we're all individuated consciousness, an extension of thought, right? Here's your hand, here's Danny and Maury and Star and Dawn and Nancy, but here's the whole, right? So, but here's our little individuated consciousnesses. But the whole new cage thing is about we're all one, we're all one, we're all one, we're all one. You hear it over and over and over. And I believe that at one time. That's why I can say this, okay? Because as you go through all your schools of thought and you're learning and your belief systems and, you know, you get to a certain point, and I'm not going to bash it because it's a beautiful sentiment. But you know what? We aren't all one. We're individuals. We're connected.
It's not all as one. What I would say to that would be all as self.
Right. Okay, Dawn. Thank you.
Yep. Good.
It's a big difference. That's that twist they put on it. You know, all is self as far as what we create and see in our realities. But the all is one is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Can I say something about that? Because hey, it's Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
I love what Nancy just said because one thing I've noticed is so many people that are in that all is one mindset are they create the most pain for other people, I've noticed. And it's like, I think it's a way to get us to not have compassion and consciousness and empathy and all of that, because I've been faced with it. And it's like, I could never wrap my mind around what the fuck is going on here. People that are preaching all this stuff, and yet they're still running over people. And I realize that's what it is. It's to stop the compassion.
Yep.
Because
it's I'm a mirror for you. So anything you see in me is you just looking at yourself. Fuck that shit. You're just an asshole. Because you're an asshole.
That was the
and it's another subtle way to keep people from looking at their own shit. Because look, what comes to us to help us grow. It's bullshit that we bring into our lives what we are. It's where we need to go. What we bring into our, that's what I've experienced anyway, because the shit that I brought into my life when I thought I was a good person did not make any sense at all until I figured that part out. It's about what I need to heal within myself. And then this way, we can show up as a healed and balanced person and hopefully inspire others. That is where we are connected, in the inspirational field, in the field of, love and connection. That's the connection. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Well, and that's it. And it's about, like we talked right at the beginning of the show, it's about the responsibility of self. When you step into that place where you're responsible for yourself, you're responsible for your words, your actions, and it's not putting the blame on that person over there because of, or walking away from all blame on yourself because, they're a mirror and I'm just, you're just bringing into this is the subtlety of that whole new cage movement. I love it, you, Nancy, for saying it that way. The new cage movement of no responsibility for self and no self-growth. You can talk about self-growth, but because there's this refusal to look at your actual interactions with others, there is no self-growth. How do you move forward in yourself when you're not going to take any responsibility for your actions?
I was even getting that when I was going to church. It's like, well, the devil did it. That, you know, like, I don't have responsibility. I give you all to do this because it's like, no, you're responsible for your actions.
Yeah, by doing that though, they give away their sovereignty, and that's part of that deal, because worship is the worship, don't you know?
Worship. Haha. And pray, as in being the pray.
Oh my God, good one. I never thought of those.
Religion, relying on the jinn.
Yeah, relying on the jinn.
Those are the serpent man. Jinn, or the serpent.
You better let Bazzy vent before you explode.
No, Bossy can just wait. I'm pissed at Bossy, so guess what, Bossy? End of the line. So.
But that whole, see how they infiltrate all systems, though? You've got the one world government truther, let's fight this one world government, but then you've got the new cage movement that wants to be all one, so they infiltrate that as well. And they get that idea of all one. We're all one. Sure, a Green Ozone in the chat said something about collective consciousness. Yes, there's definitely a collective consciousness, and we know that from Rupert Sheldrake in his morphogenetic fields, and the effect that HeartMath measured on 9/11 when all the sensors around the world picked up the distress. We do know that. And I'm not saying that we aren't all one at some level way back, but in this experience, in this matrix, in this dimension, in this time, in this 3D reality, we are individuated people. We are not all one. And we are not going to have one world government. It's just not going to work. We're too diverse. We can't even agree on simple things. How the hell are we going to have a one world government that governs us all? I don't know. I'm derailed now. Someone else pick it up.
But you know, it's interesting because when there's so many pieces to the various plays, right? They, the quintessential they, never do one thing for one reason if they can do one thing for 5 reasons. And it all becomes basket woven together. So, for example, when we talk about the one world government, it's already in power now. And the fact of all these guys are all like fucking interconnected. And we know that there's someone above them that did give them the orders, may have given them the orders, may not be giving them the orders now, regardless. We watch it all spin out. But at the end of the day, our sense of responsibility for ourselves is individual. And that's what I've always said. The whole thing of like, you know, like there's no us versus them. Okay, I get it. So unity, we need to work for the whole unity of people coming together as individuals, right? But one of the biggest plants into that new age meme was the whole, you have to love the bad guys. You have to send them love. You have got to forgive.
I just didn't
you
wanna
must
crowd you.
Hold on. You must forgive them and love them. I'm like, fuck that shit. No fucking way.
How about you just choose you? Don't choose from their game. Choose you.
Exactly. Fuck it.
I was even getting it where the past headmaster would say, but you have, like, I would say, well, our leaders are doing wrong. And he's like, well, you still have to respect what your leader is doing. And I'm like, no, that's not what Jesus would, agree with.
When you're in a conversation with somebody and they're like, well, what are you going to choose? What are you going to do? And you just smile and go, I choose me. See you later.
One thing I have learned from you guys is I know you're just about to cut off. 1 second. one thing that I've learned from all of you immensely is to take responsibility for myself and not to put any power on the external, because it's all from the internal.
And trust, T-R-U-S-T, that is a wise and the most appropriate choice you could ever make for yourself. In so doing, you strengthen yourself, like Danny was talking a little bit ago, and you come at it in the most whole version that you can possibly incorporate down here. You're a better functioning human being if you do that than if you remain split and divided and chasing your tail every which way to China, which they would rather have us do.
Exactly. Bingo, Murray. It's positive feedback, and it's eternally a balance, and it's a game, and you learn what it's beautiful, and I've learned that, and that's one of the most incredible things that I've learned. And thank you. Okay, Danny, sorry. I know you got to go now.
Yeah, I do have to go, unfortunately. I got a little guy, one of my little dudes is sitting here on the couch. He doesn't feel very well at the moment, so I'm going to have to bomb off and go look after him. That's it for tonight. We're already 7 minutes over. Sunday night is Fringe. Do we have a show this weekend? No, we don't. So just Sunday night is Fringe night.
Your time changes this weekend too,
Oh,
doesn't it?
right. Fuck. Okay, Europe changes time this weekend, guys. I don't know what time Fringe will be. I will have to figure it out. I think we go back for everyone in America, North America. We now go back to the old time, so it'll be 4 p.m. for you guys, Eastern Standard, 10 p.m. for me. And guys, you in Australia, I'm sorry, I don't have a fucking clue. I really, really don't. I have no idea when you guys change it, etc. I just don't.
Use a time converter. The Australian crew, please use a time converter, because we are messed. Our brains are melting over this one. For the rest, fairly easy. We go back to the old ways, so to speak.
Yeah, the rest of us in this hemisphere go back to the old time zone flip.
I want to leave everybody on a positive note here.
Yeah.
So as we see the technologies increase, know that your own powers will increase within you.
Yep, I agree.
We're not doing that for nothing.
Yep.
So don't
I have to say out loud, I agree with that 110%.
surprised when it starts to kind of move, because we're in sync with that.
Yep.
That's
They're
a
not.
beautiful thing to remember.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to say goodnight to Twitch and the live stream, guys, everyone out there, and anyone who joined us from PocketNet. I'm glad to have you on board. Sunday night, and next Wednesday night we'll be back here again, and God knows there'll be something in between then and now, because there always is. That's it for us. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.